very much for joining us. Croeso i'r gynhadledd heddi. As I said, my name's Emma Mees, which is like cheese with an M. And I am fortunate enough to have had 30 years experience working in journalism. So I'm really, really interested in today's conference, and I'm honoured and delighted that I've been asked to chair today. So thank you very much. I'm going to keep this really brief because we are running over already a little bit, and we've got such a jam-packed schedule for you. We want to make sure that we can fit in as much as possible. So I've got some housekeeping to do to start with. So I would just like to say that we've got translators here today. So we've got Welsh, English translators, we've got BSL, and we've got the Pale and typists here as well. So you should be able to find that everything's accessible. I'd like to welcome everybody online as well. I've been reliably told that this is one of the largest conferences that Disability Wales has had for a number of years. I think we have almost 100 people joining online and over 100 in the room. So I think that is absolutely fantastic. And this is where conversation not only starts, but where action happens as well. So I think the onus is on you guys who are joining in today, online and in the room, to make sure that if you've got any topics, any subjects, anything that you want us to know about, to learn about, then please do let us know. It was lovely on the way in when somebody was at the registration desk and they were being told that there's a quiet room, which is in room 5, I do believe. I said my glasses would be on and off, didn't I? Box 5. So feedback from the last conference was that some people would appreciate some quiet space. So that's been provided at this year's conference. So if you go to box 5, there's a quiet space there should anybody want to get away from the hustle and bustle of the conference. We also have 10 stall holders, so please make sure that you take the time throughout the day to visit them. There's some really valuable information there that will aid and assist and inform you. So, and I know everybody on the stalls are waiting to speak to you. So we've got 2 breaks today. We've got a break at 11 o'clock and then we have lunch at 1. So break, teas and coffees will be served to the table, so you don't need to worry about getting up and moving. We will deliver sustenance to you. And then, so just some basic housekeeping. So there's no alarm scheduled today. So if an alarm does go off, the Disability Wales team and I will guide you safely out of the building, to the nearest exit and out of the building. Can you please, we're welcome to have your mobile phones on, and we encourage you to be sharing content on social media today. The hashtag is hashtag DWConf23. So that's hashtag DWConf23, but please can you keep your mobile phones on silent, because otherwise it will disrupt throughout the day. So we're going to have opportunities for you. We've got people with roving mics who will be coming around the room during the talks afterwards. We have to be strict on time. So if any of you go off topic, I will be closing you down, but I will not be saying what you have to say is not valid. We will have a parking sheet. So we will park that, we will take it, we'll park it, and we will revisit it. So what you have to say is valid, is important, but at the time of the Q&As, if it's slightly off topic, we will be asking you to park that topic so that we can fit in as much as we possibly can today. I think that's it from me. So all that's left to do is the pleasure and the honour of introducing Rhian Davies, who is the Chief Executive of Disability Wales.
Hello, pawb. Good morning, everyone. So wonderful to see all our members here in the room, and also big welcome to everybody joining us online. We're thrilled with the response, and I think it shows how important this and significant this topic is to everybody. So looking forward to a great day, and many thanks to our fantastic chair. So, as many of you know, Disability Wales is the National Association of Disabled People's Organisations. Great to see so many of our DPO, full members in the room, striving for the rights and equality of all disabled people. And our core role is to serve our members to government with the aim of informing and influencing policy. So for us, the media is a really important and vital way in which we convey our message and raise awareness of the many policy issues that we work on behalf of our members. So for this reason, this is a really important topic for DW. As many people will know, the historic representations of disabled people over centuries, really, whether that's in literature, in theatre, in film, have often perceived and portrayed disabled people as either tragic and helpless, or tragic and brave. So if we think of characters such as Tiny Tim in Scrooge, we think of Little Clara in Heidi. These are classic examples of the tragic and helpless of trope or stereotype. If we look at film, the story of Douglas Bader, the World War II wartime pilot who'd lost both his legs. In the film of his life, Reach for the Skies, again, we've got an example there of a tragic and brave model of a disabled person. But there's also another stereotype where disabled people are often characterised as personifying evil. So we think about Shakespeare's Richard III or Captain Hook in Peter Pan, as well as any number of villains in James Bond stories. These portrayals become deeply ingrained in society and reflected often in the media. But of course, new stereotypes have been added to the catalogue. The vulnerable victim, the benefits grounger, the Paralympic superhero. So these tropes and stereotypes turn people into objects of pity or derision, or as inspirational porn for a wider society. They rob people individually and collectively of any agency or control over their lives, and also, and most fundamentally, overlook the barriers placed in their way in the education system, workplace or community. However, the growth of the disabled people's movement and campaign for civil rights legislation in the 80s and 90s presented a real challenge to society and especially the media. Here we have examples of disabled people demanding rights, not charity, organising lobbies of Parliament, and even taking direct action, such as handcuffing themselves to double-decker buses. This had great shock value in the society of the time, because disabled people were supposed to be grateful, supposed to accept our lot, and very much the story in the media was often one of how any legislation would place too much of a burden on business and the public purse. However, the campaigning role of disabled people's organisations around the UK did shift perceptions, and in the wake of the Disability Discrimination Act and subsequent legislation, now called the Equality Act, not only have disabled people been more visible in society generally, but representation in the media has improved. Previously, disability issues were often confined to specialist programmes. How many of us remember the programme Does He Take Sugar on Radio 4? But now, disability issues are much more likely to be taken up in mainstream programmes. A number of media organisations have set up disability units and run diversity training programmes to reach out to talent from a wide range of backgrounds, including amongst disabled people. And then, of course, in 2012, we had the London Paralympics effect. Suddenly, disabled athletes became household names and crossed over into popular culture and pop up on presenting or participating in various programmes. There was much greater representation of disabled people in soaps, in reality TV and quiz shows. Well-known figures in sports and entertainment became more open, particularly about mental health issues and non-visible impairments, telling their stories in newspaper features and on documentaries. However, despite this progress, there is clearly still the deserving and undeserving face of disability. Disabled people seem to be actively doing something achieving in sport or acting, for example, are overcoming their disability, and I'm using quotes here. But disabled people who are unemployed, on benefits, are scroungers, fakers. The austerity years and the political narrative around cutting public spending has fallen hard on disabled people, as many of us in this room know. The bedroom tax, sanctions, cuts to social care and third sector organisations, including DPOs, led to the UN Committee on the Rights of Disabled People finding the UK government in breach of the UN Convention on the Rights of Disabled People, and referred to austerity as a human catastrophe inflicted on disabled people. But there was very little media attention on the impact of austerity, not even the numbers of people who died from their health conditions within months of the DWP finding them fit for work, let alone the people who died by suicide or even starved to death following cuts to their benefits. In fact, the media were often complicit, churning out stories and documentaries denigrating people on benefits, which played into the scrounger narrative. One newspaper even wrote an expose attacking individual members of the UN committee regarding their findings. And then we come to the pandemic, which, like austerity, has equally had a catastrophic effect on disabled people. Across the UK, nearly 60% of COVID-related deaths comprise disabled people. In Wales, the figure is 68%. But where are the headlines? Where was there a sense of national scandal? Why have so few questions been asked? Even in the COVID inquiry currently sitting, in which DW is a core participant, there has been zero coverage of the high death rate amongst disabled people. Once again, we see the media complicit in the government narrative that the deaths and other hardships faced by disabled people were inevitable, unavoidable, expendable. One of the key findings in the report Locked Out on the impact of COVID-19 in Wales was that the lack of disabled people in leadership roles when decisions were being made, whether politicians or senior government officials, these lack of people in senior roles when decisions were being made in response to the pandemic contributed to the absence of targeted policies and the total inadequacy of those that were implemented. And the same could be said of the media industry. There may be more disabled people on our screens, on quiz shows, on reality shows, but where are they amongst the programme makers, the commissioners, the editors, the executives? Without this voice, there is no challenge to the accepted narrative. So why have we chosen this theme? Because we need to change the narrative. We need to see news and programming that reflects us as disabled people, the reality of our lives, as well as our hopes and aspirations. And we're delighted that so many of our media partners are here today and sponsoring the conference. We do have a challenge in Wales because so much content on the media is driven by a UK-wide agenda. However, initiatives that we've been involved with, such as ITV Wales's Equality and Diversity Panel, BBC Cymru Wales's Talk Disability Initiative, are an important starting point, but on a much longer journey to ensure a more inclusive society. Diolch yn fawr.